Okay, everybody, I have had a lot of people ask me how I did my color change to make it look so smooth. In order to do so, I broke just about every rule you could possibly think of in crochet. So I'm actually using this method to create eyes for projects. So I have my black yarn for my pupils. And then I'm actually going to use blue today for my irises. And then I also have white for the whites of my eye. To start out, you will need to create a magic ring. Get that out of the way. I'm going to crochet 6 single crochets into my magic ring. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to tighten up that magic ring, close it up as tight as I can, grab my scissors, and I'm actually just going to cut the black yarn off because we're not going to use it anymore. Grab our blue. This is where it might get a little tricky. So I hope you can kind of see this. My camera's not the greatest, but I'm basically going to create a slip stitch into the first single crochet of that I created on my magic ring. So I insert my hook. I'm going to grab my blue, pull it through both. So now my color on the hook should be blue. Let's see if I can focus that. And then what I'm going to do now is just chain 1, and then I will actually be doing 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So right there normally is where you would go ahead and slip stitch into the next, into that first chain of your second round. But I am a rule breaker and I like to break all the rules. So you can see it's all loose, but that is actually my slip stitch from my first round. So what I'm going to do now is just do 2 more single crochets into that slip stitch, and it covers it up very nicely. Then from here, I'm going to go ahead and change to my white color. So I'm going to insert my hook into the first single crochet of that round. Grab my white yarn. You can cut the blue. I'm done with it. Don't need it anymore. And you may notice that yours might look a little loose right here. It's not very nice and clean yet, but don't worry about it. We're going to fix that. So grab my white yarn. I am going to make a slip stitch. Tighten that up a little bit. Okay, now for my third row, I should have white on my hook. And for my project, I actually need double crochets on my third round. So when I do mine, I actually like to chain 2. And I will be doing 2 double crochets in each stitch around. Just bear with me here. Sorry if it seems that I'm a little shaky too. I have never made a video before and posted it to Facebook. I'm a little nervous about it. But I also want to help all you lovely hookers out in making a very nice color change. I can't tell you how many videos and methods I have watched and tried to make this look nice and smooth, but for some reason I have epically failed at all of them. And I was desperate. I wanted to make it look nice and clean. So I kind of played around with this for several hours and ended up breaking all the rules I was originally taught to do this. And I hope that this works for you guys as well. I'm not sure if you can hear my washer and dryer going in the background. It's kind of loud. Okay. I just went ahead and did my last stitch in the last stitch of my previous row, and then you can see my slip stitch is super loose from my previous round. So now, once again, I am actually going to do 2 double crochets right on that slip stitch. Let's break another rule. And then from here, we can go ahead and cut our white yarn. And I'm actually, because I like to tie off a certain way after I'm done with my projects, because I like to have a nice clean edge on my stitches. So I will actually just pull that right through. Now, it might not look very clean, but that's what it should look like now. Kind of messy, not very good. That's okay. So now we're actually going to flip our project over on the back side. And because of the project that I'm doing, I actually don't need to weave in my ends. So I can actually just knot them and just cut and have some straggly ends. It doesn't matter, but you will probably, depending on the project that you have, you'll want to leave these tails kind of long so that way you can weave them in. So now I'm actually just pulling nice and tight on the 2 blacks, pulling nice and snug, and then for my method, I do right over left, make a knot, and then left over right, make a knot. Nice and tight. Done with that. Now I'm going to take my blue. I'm going to pull everything from the blue nice and snug. Nice and snug. And if you want, you can double check on your front. As you can see, it's starting to clean up very nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and make a nice tight knot on the back. Done. Okay. Now, to finish off the white, I'm actually going to go ahead and use my yarn needle for this. And the method that I like to use to finish off is I like to make another little loop right here in that spot that's open. So I'm going to go ahead and take my needle and go through the 2 loops, both front and back. I'm going to pull them through, and then I'm going to go up and over and down through the center of that loop that I just had my yarn from. And then I'm going to pull that down, and it should give you the effect of having another chain. It makes it look nice. Oh, silly camera. It'll make it look nice and even, just like all the rest of my stitches. So then I'm going to kind of weave it down on the back side to get it down to the white, where the blue and the white meet. I'm going to take my white where I join and pull that nice and snug, and if you turn it around on the other side, you can see now all my edges are nice and clean and everything looks nice and even. And then you'll just go ahead and tie those 2 white strings together, and you will have a perfect color change.